All right, so let me just get straight into it. If you look, yeah, okay. You can do that to my channel via PayPal. That would be down in the comment section at the end of this stream. So as the stream is going on, you can donate to PayPal. It's afterwards when the stream is over, you'll be able to donate to PayPal. All right. What you need, if you guys don't know. Oh, by the way, thank you to the donors who donated to my channel recently. Thank you very much. You just the T to cover. So, Showbizz the adult was talking about the greatest boxers of all time. And he was saying that, you know, Floyd's crazy and everything, but they're greater boxers than him. He mentioned, I believe, it was Jack Johnson, and he also mentioned, I forgot his other name. A guy back in Jack Johnson's time. I forgot his name right now. A guy that is considered one of the greatest heavyweights of all time that didn't win a heavyweight title. What's his name? My internet is coming and going. Really is pissing me off because that ain't supposed to happen. Anyway, yeah, he fought Joe Gans. Oh, he's coming. He said those two guys are greater than Floyd and several others. And his major reason for saying that, though, is that these people shouldn't be forgotten. And he talked about the stories behind them. You know, the situations that they had to go through, etc. And he was saying that, you all know, Sam Langford came from lightweight, went and fought all the way up to heavyweight. All right? And people keep on saying it was a different time and blah, blah, blah. And he's saying, no, these guys are greater. Now, let me set the record straight on this. Saying that somebody's greater definitively, as if it's fact, is not possible. All right? It depends on the criteria, probably, that you're using. But I would say this, that greatness, if you think that these guys are greater than that guy, that's all right. I mean, I can't really knock you. Once you have the right criteria, you're saying, well, it's the conditions under which they lived and the culture of the place and the fact that this guy still became what he was and the number of fights and whatever you want to use as your criteria. If in your eyes, that makes them greater than another guy, then absolutely. You know what I mean? So it's really based on opinion. Now, when Floyd says TBE, the best ever, he's speaking particularly about specific criteria that he, satisfies, which makes him the best ever. And literally facts back him up on that. So that's what he's talking about. And he's not using it as a gimmick. He's literally saying, these are the facts that back me up. I'll say this. When it comes to greatness, the fact that a boxer is so great that everyone knows their name is reward enough, in my opinion. Me personally, I think the greatest of all time is Muhammad Ali. But then again, that's my opinion, okay? And he also called himself the greatest. And I said, you know what? You call yourself the greatest, you earn that spot because, you know, just look at your career. You went beyond boxing to affecting the world, politics, how we see things, enlightening us on so many different issues and topics, and working really, you know, kind of changing the perception of minorities, making people empathetic to what minorities go through and why they're. So again, Showbizz the adult, you know, has points that he makes, which makes sense. I don't know why right now sometimes my feed is dropping. I don't understand it while using YouTube. So we're going to find out why that's happening. But we need to put it. So this buffoonery, this bullshit needs to end. All right. Whether it's YouTube, whoever is doing this shit, you need to sort your shit out. Okay. All right. Because we're out here to educate the population. So right now, my feed for some reason is coming and dropping. I don't know why that's happening. We will try and get to the bottom of that. I try to give you guys quality, even though I try to stay genuine. But this bullshit need to end. We're gonna sort this shit out, okay? Because I'm not dealing with this nonsense anymore. I should be having a continuous stream of information. I paid my money for that. Okay. So we respect Showbiz the adult. That is his opinion. Okay. If you think that Floyd Mayweather is the greatest fighter of all time and you have a good sense of history and you know the form of, and we respect a certain criteria that has to do with the best ever, Floyd Mayweather's dead on target when he talks about, the guy who's the best counter puncher because, his percentage landed versus his percentage being landed upon. He has the highest of that. Right. When he says that, he is the fighter that faced more world champions or fought guys at a high level more than anybody else per fight, back to back, he's right. When he says that he's earned more money than any other boxer in the sport of boxing, he's right. When he says that he has mostly, with most of his competition, dominated them and being the most dominant guy, he's right. And if the man says he's TBE, then the man is goddamn TBE. Y'all need to. Now, for the casual fans out there, Floyd is not the only, and I think this is Showbiz point, Floyd is not the only be-all and end-all, but just like Michael Jordan, Floyd's seen as a tremendous, there are greater basketball players than Michael Jordan, if we go to that argument, all right, that have achieved more. Bill Russell's won like 12 NBA championship rings, okay? He was with the Celtics. Wilt Chamberlain was like a specimen. One, I think it's 2 or 3 world championships, but the man was a specimen. Okay, if we're gonna go there, then again, it's subject to opinion. But of course, Michael Jordan brought a lot to the game of boxing, basketball, in terms of the marketing and how influenced the marketing of basketball. He changed the game of boxing just as how Michael Jordan changed the game of basketball. So it really is, and both of these guys are phenomenal talents. When you talk about Floyd Mayweather and Michael Jordan, we understand, right? It's a given, right? So it's not strange to hear people talking about them like that and giving them superlatives, calling them the GOAT. In certain avenues, these guys are not greater than other guys. And other guys brought other things to the table and, evolved the sport too. So if that's what I wanted to put that in there, because a lot of times boxers or even players, whether it's basketball or whatever, they claim themselves to be this. Like Christian Shields claims to be the GOAT, Floyd claims to be the GOAT, or Sam Lankford claimed he was the GOAT too. Marlon Starling claimed he was TBE. Mike Tyson claimed he was TBE. What you got to look at is, and say to yourself is, did these guys have a career that gives them a justification to be called TBE? James Toney said he's the best of that, then why not? Give them what they asked for. Why is it the media and people always feel they know more than the people who actually put in the work? I never understood that. I always believe if a boxer claim what they claim and they put in the work and their standards are to that standard and they claim what they are, you give them that. You give them it. Floyd isn't doing a marketing stunt by saying he's TBE. He showed you. The proof is in the pudding. Manny Pacquiao claiming he's the greatest or the people's champion. He put in the work. Why you can't give these guys what they claim to be? So what I'm saying is they put in the work. So whatever they want to be called. So that's that. Let's talk about now Killer podcast. Lionkiller was saying that He didn't know how many boxers out there jumped two weight classes and successfully won their championship fights. So, there are a good many, after 2000, they said. There are a good many that actually did that. We know Bernard Hopkins. We know of Shane Mosley, Manny Pacquiao. Um, we got a couple of them. Let's see who else did that. We got he jumped from Canelo Alvarez, right? He jumped from middleweight to light heavyweight, right? Now, modern day two divisional jump is really the equivalent of a throwback one divisional jump, right? If you jump from welterweight to middleweight, that's two divisions, right? Because you got a junior welterweight division in between in the modern terms. But in throwback terms, you just jump in one division, right? So, when you say post 2000, there are a bunch of guys post 2000 that jumped two divisions. I can think of a couple of them. Just recently this little guy in the low weight classes, I forgot his name right now, Franco's brother. I think he's the Superfly champion still. He jumped up from, I believe it's super middle to super minimum weight to Superfly, right? So, or light fly to Superfly, which is two divisions. So we've seen it. We've seen it a couple times of recent times. Roy Jones Jr. He jumped up from light heavyweight, if I'm not mistaken, heavyweight in 2003. Let's see who else. We got a couple of them. So Charlo was not unique in that respect. What's unique about it is he's undisputed at 154 and he's jumping up to 168, which is really more comfortable. Errol Spence himself said he wanted to really come out of welterweight. This is going to be his last welterweight fight. And then he's going to jump up to the 160 or 168. So, Errol Spence is even telling you, he's a big buddy and you really need to be up in the higher weight classes. So Charlo, same thing. Charlo even more so because Charlo is actually bigger than Errol, taller than Errol and everything. And, he's been really dieting and stuff. So Charlo actually gets an opportunity of a lifetime and he about the same size as Canelo or a little bit bigger. So that's going to play out super well for him. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think. The fighter that jumped up from lightweight and went all the way up to welterweight. There's another fighter who jumped from lightweight, went all for the 2000s. I'm trying to remember who it was. No, that's still back. That's before the 2000s because Sugar Ray Leonard jumped up from welterweight, went to middleweight, fought Heigler, and then jumped up to light heavy, fought, it was a catchweight though. He fought Donnie Lalonde. So they had a new division, they called it super middleweight. That's how super middleweight came to be. But we're talking successfully, right? So, but I can think of several throughout the history of boxing. I can think of many, many boxers that did this. There was another guy, his name, this is back in the 60s. Though, won the welterweight world championship. Yeah, he jumped up. Sugar Ray Robinson was another guy, but again, he's the 60s. He jumped up from welterweight to middleweight and won the middleweight championship. So there are a number of guys who, he was campaigning at middleweight, still, but nonetheless, he did jump up and he did. So, I've seen guys who campaign at a certain weight, debuted at another weight, and won titles that way. Jumping up two divisions is kind of rare, but it does happen, and it has happened multiple times. Let me see if I can think of another one. Usually in the lower weight classes, I've seen this happen. Or of course, Rigo went with Loma. Against Loma, he jumped up 2 weight classes. Who else we got? But really, it's 1 weight class. It's really 1 weight class when you think throwback. The gap is usually 1 weight class. The higher weight classes is much more weight you're talking about, but still, what you have to look at is sometimes the boxers are much bigger and they shrunk down to a lower weight class. So it's really sometimes advantages to the boxers to lose less weight, especially in modern boxing today, because what a boxer goes, sometimes a fighter's campaigning at a certain weight, but he can go up to middleweight. He can go up to junior middleweight, and campaigning probably at welterweight or campaigning probably at junior welterweight. But look at Danny Garcia, for example, he's at 154 now, right? Danny walk around maybe 170. Errol, Danny, Sean, Crawford, they all walk around about the same weight, 180 something. Just like Canelo, just like Jamel. So when they get sparring in the ring with each other, they're around about the same weight. They're just in different weight classes. Mel sacrificed to stay at 154, while Mal, he was at 160, right? So I'm just saying. Yeah, you do sometimes need to acclimatize to the weight, but if you can punch, you can punch. But you might be able, acclimatizing to the weight may be, you might have to strengthen up a little bit more to be able to take punches, etc. So they'll be doing the strength and conditioning, that they're supposed to do to handle the Canelo situation, and they should be on point. All right, so I want to talk about one more thing, which has to do with women's boxing. Women's boxing is bad, man. Them women be throwing down. I look at DAZN Cruz. She a beast, man. She a beast. She makes you fight. You know what I mean? And it leads me to Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. People saying, Crawford might outbox. Listen, this gonna come down to being a fight. It's gonna be like Errol Spence said. It's gonna be a war of attrition. This gonna be a real fight, and those two guys gonna have to blaze it up and fight with each other. They're gonna mix it. They start off mixing it off hot. They ain't gonna start off hot, but by the time it reaches the 5th, 6th round, it's gonna be hot in there. They're gonna be, the heat will be on. The burners will be on, and they're going to be trading shots. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that whole thing goes down, and it's going to be a good fight, though. It's going to be a good fight. Errol can't slip up with Terrence because Terrence, he's smart. He's a smart fighter, and he knows how to catch you with shots you don't see, and he does it in combinations. Whereas Terrence he knows he's going to be in a dogfight. He's going to have to bite down at some point and really fight Errol, because Errol's a dude, he got solid defense, and he don't just come in wild and reckless. And on top of that, he places punches very well, and he can take a shot. He has a good chin. So it's a lot that Terrence going to be dealing with. Similarly, Errol is going to be dealing with a lot that Terrence can bring to the table, because Terrence can he can thread the needle and get some angle. Who's more consistent? Who's more relentless? Who's smarter? So it's going to come down to those kinds of things. That's a really good fight. Errol versus Terrence Crawford is a really good fight. And we're going to see what's up. You know what I mean? Errol has experience facing Floyd. So you face Errol face Floyd. And Errol put the pressure on Floyd early. Floyd started to outsmart him and stuff later on, but he put the heat on him. So, Terrence has got to be in great conditioning. And, Errol's coming, man. Errol's coming. He's not going to walk away from it. He can bring the heat. So we're going to see. And, if Terrence can hurt Errol, then Errol probably back off a little bit and give him some respect, and then start putting the heat on the burner again. So it's about Terrence kind of hurting Errol. But again, Terrence is such a skilled fighter. He can, keep the fight a certain distance for a while, change it up, mix it up, be on the inside wing. So when Terrence realizes what the scene is, I'm sure he's going to make adjustments too. So it's going to be good. Rain is falling like crazy. This is good. My stream is finally happening. So I can't wait for this fight, because it can go many, many different ways. But I can tell you this. It's going to be highly